Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 2 of...
I'm drinking with the stars, yeah.
We are really happy with the response we got to the first episode, Drinking with the Stars. We're so happy you guys liked it. We had a lot of people reach out to try to get in with their signs, but we still have a few available. So DM us on Instagram or text us if you have our numbers, or fucking carrier pigeon, I don't know.
So today, we are so excited. We're continuing with our fire signs. Today is Sagittarius Day. But before we introduce our very special guest, we have to bring out our bartender,
Evan!
Oh my god, you guys, I love it back there.
What are you making for us today, Evan?
Today I'm making a smoked Sagittarius ginger old fashioned.
Yay!
So, step 1, we're gonna smoke our glass. We're getting like a 2-for-1 here because not only are we having a cocktail, we're like cleansing spirits from the house.
Oh.
To all the spirits in the room. Hey. Just gonna put this glass on top.
oh my goodness.
That's how you smoke.
That's how you smoke.
I didn't know.
I'm gonna set this aside.
Look at how beauty.
So we're gonna start off with ice in a glass or a shaker or what you will. We're gonna do a shot of whiskey. We have Jim Beam because that was in the house. And then I made some ginger simple syrup. We're gonna add like just a scooch of that.
A scooch?
A good eyeball is like, I didn't do it just now, but like to coat the bottom of the glass you're filling is nice.
Can you tell the people how you made it?
Yeah, so you just do equal parts of water and sugar, and then you put whatever you want to infuse into it. So like whether it be, last week was habaneros, this week is ginger. So you just like cut it up and like boil it for like 15 minutes, and then it's simple syrup. And then we're gonna do a few dashes of bitters. And we're gonna stir. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab the strainer that I forgot to get from upstairs. So now we're gonna take our strainer that I had here the whole time, and then you're gonna take your glass, which is now hopefully smoked.
Ooh.
You're gonna put in what I like to call a daddy ice cube.
Daddy!
Then we're gonna pour.
God, I'm so stoked.
Wow.
And then we're gonna garnish with just like a little sprig of sage.
Stunting.
Stunting!
Thank you, Evan.
All right, welcome to our friend Carson. You will notice that Carson is sitting here with us at the bar. He is in our quarantine squad, so
It's true.
we figured why Zoom when we can have human connection.
He lives all by his little self, so.
Yeah.
I do.
We're very safe. So Carson's here as our Sagittarius representative, speaking for all Sagittarians.
Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for
You're
being
welcome.
Yeah.
It's now our tradition to start with a cheers, so we can actually do a real one.
Cheers.
Cheers! I almost was like...
Down, I'm down, bitch.
I mean, this is going to be interesting because we do know you pretty well. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about your religious upbringing?
Sure. So I was raised Catholic. I went to Lutheran school from preschool to kindergarten, Catholic school from 1st grade through 7th grade, public school from 8th grade.
Wow.
And then went back to Catholic school, I guess. So I like got involved with a very extremist, non-denominational church. And
Non-denominational church. What does that mean?
like it was not Catholic. It was
Like no specific religion.
no specific religion.
Just vague Christian?
Vague Christian. I really don't know what it was.
Okay.
And had some traumatic experiences and decided that I wasn't going to be religious anymore.
If you don't mind, like, what about the Catholic faith did you not identify with specifically?
I guess I'm going to start with what I do identify with.
Sure.
I love the ritual of it. I think, like, we know that this is, like, a higher ceremony. We're talking about something higher and something larger than us. So why not elevate it in a way that the Catholic Church does? I really appreciate the ritual. I know that's like what's also boring about it, but I like it. I like the burning of the incense. I hate the way it smells, but I like the burning of the incense. I like the ceremony. I like the stand, sit, because it's an elevated idea. What I don't like is kind of the culture that has grown around it. I think, most religion at its core is very good, and all religion is made or developed out of this necessity to help humanity. But unfortunately, the people who practice it are flawed, and in America,
For our international audience.
For the international audience, in America, it has turned into a bit of an extremist following to the point where we're allowing homophobic and racist speakers at large institutions to speak.
Yeah.
Retweet. Indeed.
And I did.
Yeah. And of course, that's not everyone, but it's enough people.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh my God. I think the people who are following it correctly and the people who are using it for themselves, it is super, super good. I think religion is a very personal experience, and if you're taking the parts of religion that work for you and you aren't trying to force it on other people, to force them to believe what you believe in, good on you, and if it's working, it's working. If it's not, it's not.
Yeah. We had a conversation about this the other day about like how religions were created from people like identifying things that already existed in other religions maybe, or stories that got passed down and saying, I identify with this, and then it gathered a following. But now it's become so rigid. Like there are such sharp lines where it's, you have to fit into this box, you have to pick one of these religions that already exists, and you have to subscribe to it. Whereas that was not the case when all of these religions were started. Like, create what you want, like believe what you want to believe, and you don't have to put a label on it. Like it's terrible that it's come to this, that it's so strict, it's so rigid, it's not, it makes it not comforting.
It's also to the point where like this pope that we have right now is very progressive. The example that I'm thinking of is like, everyone deserves to be happy, and he's referencing to gay people. And it is to the point now where people are leaving the Catholic faith because he is saying we should let everyone be happy. And that is where I, have a hard time dealing with organized religion and the faith that I was raised in general, because it's like, why would a religion that's supposed to help you hurt anyone else?
Yeah.
If it hurts anyone else, it's not correct.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've landed on a belief system now, or are you still sort of exploring, or is it not something you think about?
I kind of subscribe to the recycling of energy idea that I feel like is very prevalent in older Gen Z, younger millennials. I hear a lot of people talk about this idea of recycling energy, not necessarily reincarnation, but like
energy cannot be created or destroyed.
Yeah, I think I subscribe to that idea the most. I like to think of the world as like a gumball machine where there's like pockets of energy, and when they need one, they like twist it and it comes out and into whatever form it needs to be, and then when it's done, they put it back in the top. That's like this image that I have in my head. It's also like this, I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea of an evil soul, and I think that kind of I think it's just like someone who has done horrible, evil things while they're here. I think that's a failed try, I think of it that way.
Yeah.
I fucking hate them while they're here, don't worry.
Yeah,
but next time they'll hopefully do better.
People really like the idea of you get one life and then the judgment is made and you go either here or here. And I think people like that because you can ride on sort of a superiority when you think that way. And when you can sort of deem people bad people because they've done something that you think is bad. Sure. And that means that you're here and they're here. I think people really enjoy that. I think that feeds the human ego, just in a human way, not in like a necessarily horrible way.
Sure.
But I think that's oversimplifying humanity.
Especially since our concept of time is not the same, like, outside of our bubble. It doesn't happen the same way. So, like, how is there a beyond or something other than this place that operates based on just our timeline here? That seems ridiculous. It makes no sense to me to think that this is your one shot and it's only 85 Earth years, which is such a fucking blip.
Privilege plays into it so much. I read like a tweet recently that was like, in regards to privilege, like, no, you didn't make good choices, you had good choices. Like, so much of it is like, I'm not sitting here thinking like, should I steal, should I not, because mommy can always buy me a new coat when I'm a kid, you know what I mean? Like,
How do you make a judgment based on the choices that someone made because of the cards they were dealt? Can you tell us a little bit about your love life?
I would say my love life is new. It took me a long time dealing with sexuality. I came out as bi after my freshman year. Took 2 years as a bisexual human being. And then I kind of didn't ever like brand myself as gay. It just like kind of felt right eventually. And so that's just what I started telling people that I was. And I have my first boyfriend right now of like 1 whole month.
Look at you!
Well, it's like 2 weeks, but we've been seeing each other for like a month and a half, so.
What's his Venus?
Scorpio in the first house. Okay, cool. So
I love entering the chart from the Venus.
the first house is all about self, and it's the only house that's about yourself. The
Okay.
rest of them are about like other aspects of life.
Okay.
And so when something's in the first house, that means it's a conjunction with your rising. So his rising is also in Scorpio. He is a Sagittarius sun with a Taurus moon and a Scorpio rising. Sagittarius is in the second house, and he also has his Mercury in Sagittarius, and Taurus is in the 7th house, which is the house of partnerships and one-on-one relationships. So we'll get into that more because it's really, really, really interesting. But
And-
we'll talk about your Venus first.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No.
And I'm a cusp.
Oh, he's a cusper. Say what you are.
On Scorpio and Sag, baby.
Yeah.
So lots of Scorpio, lots of Sag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not all astrologers believe in cusps, but he has a ton of prominent Scorpio placements. So regardless, there's a ton of Scorpio and a Sagittarius influence. But your Venus is in Scorpio. So Venus is actually in detriment in Scorpio, which isn't, it sounds bad, but it's not always a bad thing. It just means that like the nature of Scorpio sort of works against the function of Venus. Venus is relationships.
Okay.
Not just romantic. Scorpio always sort of has an edge, and it definitely puts up a wall and
Sure.
sort of rejects easy connection. It takes a minute. Venus in Scorpio may go against gender norms, or sexuality might be a thing, so that checks out. Scorpio is all about sex because it's ruled by Pluto.
That's right, baby.
Yeah.
We love sex.
Yeah. This sort of stuff could show up in your friendships, it could show up in your family life. Venus does not necessarily mean your love life, but you know, I don't know where these things are going to resonate for you. Yeah, relationships will not be handed to you. They're really going to take work.
That tracks.
But in the first house, like, it seems like, especially with Scorpio, like, it may take a lot of, like, self-development. Like you said, like, it took you a second to get really comfortable with your sexuality.
It did, yeah.
It really is a thing for you. I love that. It's also a water sign, so you, like, are super emotional in relationships. But with Scorpio, like, that shit's all hidden. It's very much behind a wall. But it's deep, and you can go deep.
I have another question that
Okay.
might parlay into something. Have you ever had a ghost or spirit experience?
Oh my God.
I have, yeah.
Wait, what?
I've told you this story. After my freshman year of college, I had my grandmother die on my dad's side and my grandfather die on my mom's side in a week. And the thing with my grandfather is, like, he was very into trains, and he presents himself to my aunts and my mom and my grandmother through train whistles at, like, very strange times.
They'll hear train whistles.
And I've also experienced this. So like,
God.
I was living in a place and I didn't hear the trains, and I was like having a really bad day, and like I heard the train whistle, and it just like, I could feel a presence. So that was like a spiritual connection. But my like true ghost experience, I was at my dad's parents' house. So my grandmother that had passed, and we were all there, and I was in the room, and the house is creepy as fuck. The house is creepy as fuck. There is shit everywhere, like masks on the wall. They're like antiquers, very much. They collect like porcelain doll heads that are all like lined up on shelves. So I was asleep in the sewing room, and my parents were in the Lincoln room. They have themed bedrooms, right? So
The Lincoln room, I'm obsessed.
right. So I was asleep, my dad was asleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night and heard footsteps in the attic.
Tight.
Above my head, there's obviously no one in the attic in the middle of the night. So I'm hearing like very clear human footsteps above me. Whatever, I like don't sleep the rest of the night, no worries. No worries.
Right. Time
So
to
I wake up, my granddad is making breakfast. And my grandfather has also said, "Oh, I see grandma all the time at the foot of my bed." So I go up to my dad and I'm like, "Dad, I couldn't sleep last night." He was like, "Why? Did you hear footsteps?" My dad heard the footsteps in the attic at the same time.
Dad.
In a different room, in the Lincoln room, while I was in the sewing room.
This sounds like Clue.
What's your dad's
I'm convinced that I experienced a paranormal event.
Do you think it
Yeah.
was your grandmother that was up there just walking
Yes.
around?
I
She was
100%.
like, I get no sleep
There-
'cause I
Y'all ain't gonna get no sleep because of me.
That's 100% what it was. And I have no doubts that was what it was.
Wow.
I just knew it when I heard it.
Did you tell your grandfather?
No, because he gets really mad when people say his house is creepy.
Your Scorpio placements do indicate that you might be psychic. Water signs are psychic, so having prominent water signs. I mean,
I
everyone
believe
is
it.
psychic. Everyone's psychic, but it might come more naturally to you if you
Or a Scorpio.
have prominent water sign placements, such as Scorpio. Scorpio is really about the cycle of fucking life. They're about death, birth, rebirth. Like, they really understand that cycle of death. I mean, to have prominent placements means that, like, that's going to be prominent for you in some way. What did you do?
I grabbed the candle and it was really...
Oh, your Mars is in Scorpio too. So you have like a really big conjunction. His sun is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a mutable sign. It's a fire sign, obviously. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, so everything is like big, over the top, enthusiasm, optimism. They are the philosophers, they are the travelers. I said in our astrology episode, if you're like on a date with a Sagittarius, ask them where they'd like to travel. Like, if you're on a date with Carson, he will have an answer to that question, won't you?
Yes, I would like to go to Croatia.
I didn't know you were gonna tell them right now. Now they're not gonna ask. Now they know they're not gonna fucking ask.
Oh.
You have a conjunction. Your Mercury is also in Sagittarius, which Mercury is all about communication. So the way you would communicate also goes through the lens of Sagittarius, which I feel like a lot of people have that conjunction, that Sun and Mercury, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I do
But
too.
that makes sense
Oh, no,
because
well, if you believe in cusps, I do.
if Mercury is about like the way you communicate with people, it sort of makes sense that it would in most cases be the same as your sun.
Yeah.
Because the way you communicate with people is a lot of the time like just the way you are. Like,
Mercury is in its detriment in Sag. You have a lot of those. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Often it's a thing that is conquered at some point. So like, it's not something that's gonna tie you down forever.
Okay.
But Sagittarius is not the best communicator. They love philosophy, they love facts. Like, if you want to like go off on a tangent with them, they're more than willing to come along for the
I am
ride.
more... If you want to rant to me,
Yeah, he loves a good rant.
call me bitch.
Yeah, you like facts. Facts are really important to you, but when it comes to like sensitivity, that's not always going to be your strong suit. I don't even know.
I don't. What?
Astrology's bullshit. And your moon in Taurus in the 7th house. Let's talk about that.
This will be so beautiful cut together. Don't even worry about it.
Okay, cool. Committed partnerships. The moon is exalted in Taurus. The moon is all about your emotions, your inner life. People with prominent 7th house placements really fascinate me because a big part, especially with your moon, a big part of your inner growth is going to happen through intimate relationships. And that's not necessarily romantic, but it often is.
Sure.
And it is platonic, but it sometimes it's professional, sometimes it's familial. It just depends.
Yeah.
Does that resonate?
Definitely.
Your sun is in the 2nd house. So the 2nd house is all about work, property, money, possessions. You really can use your own personality, your own talent, something that comes innately to you in your career success, financial success.
Sure.
And I think he's an actor, so that's kind of a duh. Like, you're using your acting, your singing, that's all internal. You didn't really have to, you developed it, but you didn't really have to learn that. That came from you. Developing yourself through how you make a living is really going to be critical to your overall arc, because your sun is about your life purpose.
Do you feel like you're moving in a career direction where you feel like it's going to fulfill you?
My answers are very different 12 months ago and now.
I think that's probably true for everyone.
For everyone. Right now, I'm not sure what career direction I'm moving in, to be quite honest. I'm kind of, like I think a lot of us are, a little bit disgusted with the arts industry. I think we've done a really horrible job of taking care of each other, which really bothers me. But also I'm in this interesting dichotomy of like missing it more than anything. And so I'm not really sure what career direction I'm in. I went back to school. I got my digital marketing certification. My end goal, I want to be an artistic director. I want to work in arts management, but I'm not quite ready to like stop trying to be an actor. And it's really an interesting time because we've been told we have to. So I'm a Sagittarius with a Scorpio rising and a Taurus moon. So the stereotypes mean that I'm stubborn, and if you tell me I have to do something, I'm not gonna listen to you.
He's right.
Right, so if you're telling me I need to give up acting, I'm not gonna listen to you.
We love it.
Yeah.
I feel like you have, just from knowing you in these past, what has it been, 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years.
You have become like just so incredibly self-aware, and
agree.
you've truly like opened up in a way that I feel like is like coming into your sign in a very positive way. And yeah, I feel like you're blooming currently. I feel
would
like
agree.
you're in a peak. Like, and I feel like it's just getting more peak.
Oh, that's very sweet. I also feel like I am comfortable, I think career-wise can't really happen without personal life being comfortable, and I'm like finally in a comfortable place in my life, in myself, in my relationships, in platonic relationships and romantic relationships, where I'm just comfortable. And so I'm finally at a place where I can like, okay, it's the basic needs idea.
Yeah.
Where you have all your basic needs met and you're allowed to move on. Like, I'm still poor as fuck. Don't get me wrong, the basic need of money is still in question. But
That's the actor struggle, though, and I honestly think a lot of actors have trouble grasping that as an idea. That is that a lot of actors will think, okay, well, I'm doing this thing, so I'm just gonna suffer a little bit in something for the rest of my life because I'm pursuing this passion. I'm gonna have to compromise on basic needs, and they'll take a fucking $100 stipend for doing an entire show, or like live with 80 roommates in a fucking 1-bedroom apartment in New York to just try at this thing. And it's like we get taken advantage of because we don't accept the things that we need and demand the things that we need and want. And I think that your stubbornness from your sign is working in your favor a lot of the time, because you don't take less than you know you deserve.
Yes, knowing your own value in like your resources and what you bring to the table is very second house energy, especially in Sagittarius with that optimism, self-assuredness, confidence.
Yeah, I would say it also gets me into a lot of trouble. I just kind of rage quit my job.
Everyone's chart gets them into trouble.
Yeah. So I just quit my job because I felt like my morals were being compromised.
Yes.
Working for an institution that does not support its full community and refuses to condemn the parts of its community that are toxic and festering.
Right.
So if you're not willing to confront the bad parts of yourself, and this is something that I do in myself, if I'm not willing to confront the bad parts of myself, how can I eliminate them? How can I make sure that my good parts overcome them? And I feel the same way with institutions, and so I had to quit.
Yeah, you just seem very evolved these days. You're very generous with your energy, which is such a Sagittarius thing. You know what
Generous with your energy, as in like you leave yourself more open to receiving other people's energies.
Yes.
And like
Definitely.
you're taking in a lot more. You're becoming spongier.
I would say I think that's definitely a byproduct of 2020 and, you know, the like massive Black Lives Matter movement and me existing in a space of a white male and, you know, really having to examine how I move through the world and how I listen to other people and realizing I'm a good listener, but I'm not a good absorber.
Yeah, it's not just taking in the information; it's processing it. It's
Definitely. It's a byproduct of 2020 for me. Everyone has had to, this past year, confront what is important to me. What am I going to put first?
Yeah, so this has been awesome. I love these talks. They make me happy. I think that this is going to resonate for a lot of people, and let us know if you felt something in your heart or have any thoughts for us, because we would love to hear them. Yeah. Thank you, Carson.
And again, we filled all our fire signs, but if you are an earth sign, a water sign, an air sign, and you want to have one of these chats with us over Zoom, probably, we would love to talk to you, so let us know.
Thanks for being here with us at our bar.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
I loved it. Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun to talk to you. I never do this.
Yeah, we never talk.
We
don't
chat.
see each other constantly. LOL.
Take us home, Derek.
I'm drinking with the stars.